Welcome to the Big 12 Insiders, your Big 12 sports show. Here's your host, Brien Hanley.
Hey, everybody, what's going on? This is your man, Big B, Brien Hanley, along with Tim Fitzgerald. Welcome back to the Big 12 Insiders. Appreciate everybody being in here today. You know what day it is. It is the power rankings, and Lord have mercy, did we have a shakeup in the power rankings this week? Not necessarily at the tip top, but there has been some movers and shakers as far as the power rankings go. I am excited about this one today, Fitz. Should be a good one. Before we get started, remember, everybody, continue to like, follow, subscribe, continue to get in the comments, and always hit that notification bell so you know exactly when Big 12 Insiders content comes out. First things first, Fitz, how are you doing today?
I'm good. Going Lord Tech with the old headphones here. As we got some audio issues. Big B, I'm old. I can't be doing technical stuff. It's passing me up. I'll figure it out. I hear
you. I can't either. Can't stand it. Don't even know how to figure it all out. So, so power rankings, again, for people that don't know, if you're the first time here, we have our power rankings. Or I should say I have my power rankings, and then we match them up against the publishers of 24/7 for everybody that's in the conference. They have their own, and we see where they match up. So the last couple of weeks, they've been getting closer and closer and closer. I don't know if we're going to have that this week, Fitz. I'm not sure. And again, I don't see these before you put them out there. So I'm not sure it's going to be that, but we'll find out. I heard some stuff. I heard it was different. I heard it was wild, but we'll see. We'll see. So
let's get into street, aren't you? You listen to those rumors out there on the street.
Yeah, I do. You know, I keep my ear to the ground a little bit. At number 16, Oklahoma State, no surprise. They got beat up again by Houston. They're going to get beat up all year. The one thing that I like about this team, while not talented, they keep fighting. They have not stopped fighting. So whoever the new coach is, I'm sure it's going to be a plethora of anywhere between 40 and 70 new guys. If you keep any of these guys around, at least you know you have a team that is not going to quit on you, Fitz.
Yep. Yeah, exactly right. You know, they put in the effort, and you can see early in the game, and then eventually they just don't have the dudes.
No.
And they can't keep up. It's kind of sad to watch because this roster, they got heart. They ain't got much else. And that's just, I mean, they had a receiver playing quarterback or something.
Yeah. Yeah, it's ugly. They'd had I think they had 4 guys throw a pass in the game. It was just wild. It was wild. Number 15, West Virginia. Again, another team. They haven't quit, just don't have the Joes as of yet. They're going to keep fighting. And West Virginia actually might be a team that if you're not on your P's and Q's, they may come up and bite you. That's the difference. They may surprise you. Again, they're not very talented, but they may come up and bite you if you are not on your P's and Q's. But again, we're dealing with another team, new coach, not a great roster, but again, they keep fighting, Fitz. They keep fighting.
Yeah. Again, yeah, they just don't have the dudes, but they're a little bit more cohesive, I guess is the word I'm looking for. Rich Rod's got them with a direction. They're just not moving very quickly because they just don't have the horses to pull it, and they'll get there. But they believe, and you're right. If you want to sleep on them, they might just get you, which would be huge for that program.
Absolutely. And number 14 is UCF. Again, we saw UCF. They kind of took it to Cincinnati. I thought Cincinnati walked through the game on Saturday, just coming off of a couple emotional wins. You know how it can be sometimes. But again, this is another team that's on the right path. They don't have the talent, but they've got more than Oklahoma State and West Virginia. And they've got more speed than Oklahoma State and West Virginia. And again, this is a program, Scott Frost, if you give him a couple of years, Fitz, to rebuild what he had the first time, to rebuild those relationships or those Florida high school football coaches, I'm just telling you, they got an opportunity. And this team, again, I'm telling you right now, if you do not bring your game against them, they will beat you. You know, West Virginia, you can probably get by if you're more talented. Against UCF, If you don't play, you will lose. Period. End of story.
Agreed. And, they were a lot higher in the rankings a few weeks ago,
Mm-hmm.
kind of coming back down to earth, so to speak, for the Citronauts. Uh, it's going to be there. You can see the groundwork being laid for everything
Yes.
you said. They'll get into those Central Florida high schools all over Florida, the South, start getting some speed athletes, and they'll be back to playing Scott Frost's brand of UCF football, which is much better than what we're seeing now. But you can tell there's buy-in because
Correct.
they will get you, and they'll hang around and give you an opportunity to lose, which is they're gonna beat someone. They're gonna get someone good, I think, as they go through the schedule. So we'll find out. It'll be fun to watch.
It will. They just got to find a way to keep a quarterback healthy. It's got to be able to do that. That's been brutal. What's going on there this year? Number 13, Colorado. Colorado. Look, I'd left Colorado for dead.
Yep.
I thought it's over. They're not going to win another game. Their schedule is very difficult moving forward. And it started last week. And here they are. They won another game with signs of life, Fitz. Signs of life. Like, that was a complete football game. That was a good football game that they played on Saturday to beat Iowa State. Now, I get it that they got a call that helped them, and they did. That was insane. But bottom line is they won the football game. They did enough to win that football game. Are we seeing some signs of life, or was that just one game, Fitz?
Well, I'm seeing some signs of life the last few games. They just can't sustain it.
Correct.
And they did. So, I wonder if there was a little bit of fighting for Coach Brien because he's having some issues in that. And maybe, let's say it. I mean, Iowa State beat Kansas State to open the season. Kansas State wasn't very good early in the season, and Iowa State won by one score. Maybe Iowa State's coming back to center a little bit, and we're seeing what they really are, which is an okay football team. But when they get a good shot from someone on the road, they didn't get it done.
Correct.
And, that's a bad sign for Iowa State. They seem to be coming back to the center a lot. And in this conference, you get mired in the middle of these power rankings. It's like quicksand. You just can't get out of it. And really, Big B, I think we all worried about quicksand as children more than we should have. But now we're seeing it in the Big 12. I've never seen quicksand.
Oh.
I'm on a tangent right now, which is kind of like quicksand. Let's move on.
I got you. At number 12, KU. Look, there'll be KU fans that get mad. I don't care. Here's the thing. You got to stop. Your defense has to show up. At some point against decent competition, your defense has to show up. You get back into the game against Texas Tech after literally they punch you in the mouth within the first 30 seconds, and you think it's going to be a blowout. You get up, you punch them back, you have all the momentum. Texas Tech has their backup quarterback in who isn't playing well. Like he ended up with 7 for 16 with an interception. Couldn't figure it out. But Tech says, the hell with it. We're just going to run the ball, and then just ran it and ran it and ran it to the tune of 372. I mean, come on. Come on. You want me to take you seriously, and then you do that? No, I can't do it. I can't do it. You got an opportunity because I still think Kansas is talented, but it's all on the offense. I'm going to say that right now because this defense just does not show up, Fitz. It doesn't.
When an offense isn't working, go to the backup quarterback. He comes in, he's struggling. You pull out the trick plays. You try to confuse defense. No, Texas Tech decided we don't need to do that. Let's hand the ball off, let him run, and get back to the basics of football. No, nothing fancy. Let's just beat him up front. A truly strange game. Tech scored 21, Kansas scored 17, and then Tech scored another 21. It's like they were taking turns, and Tech got 2 turns to 1. That means you lose. That's me mathing right there. Tech has an identity. They're just tough, and they lose their starting quarterback. and they say, okay, let's be tough. Let's be tougher than the other team. And they did it with authority.
I mean, look, I'm not going to hold it too much against KU. I mean, Tech is better than they are.
Yeah.
I mean, there's no issue
It's
with
not just the
losing the
quarterback.
game. The problem is that you just got physically manhandled again. I mean, this is not. I mean, it'd be one thing if this was one time. This is not a one-time occurrence for KU, and that's my problem. At some point, they got to show up. They got a big one coming up in 2 weeks. We'll see if they can show up there. But for now, it is what it is.
Yeah.
At number 11, I got Kansas State. Kansas State is starting to fight back a little bit. They're playing better over the last 3 weeks after being just abysmal to start the year. But this is where they are. They're at the, I guess, the bottom of the middle, if that's what we want to call it. I'm still not convinced because we'll get to TCU in a minute, but TCU's got dumb coaches. There was opportunities for them to take advantage of K-State in this football game, and they just chose not to do it. But K-State playing better on offense. Got to give them credit. Their offensive line has looked a hell of a lot better over the last 3 weeks. It doesn't even look like the same O-line, but then again, some of the pieces that they actually are playing are different, which somebody, I won't name names, had been calling for that all year, but neither here nor there. But K-State at 11. This seems about right for right now.
Yeah, it does. TCU wasn't very good.
Mm-mm.
They just weren't. That was not their best effort. Josh Hoover was off his mark. Holding the TCU offense to 4 touchdowns. Under most measurements, that's too many points. But with TCU and the way they can score points, that's a pretty good effort. And 2 of those came on explosive plays in the fourth quarter when K-State had a 2 or 3 score lead. I thought the coaches did fail the players to a degree. But they also, that offense, actually they scored 6 touchdowns. 2 of them were for K-State with 2 turnovers. That you had a pick 6 and a scoop and score on a lateral, a little screen pass that actually went backwards. So they scored 6 touchdowns. They were just scoring some for the other team, which is never a good theory to apply in practice. And TCU's better than they showed. And K-State, this score and the stats didn't reflect really how much K-State kind of owned this game because TCU decided, yeah, we could run the ball. We got to do it averaging 7 yards carry. Let's not do that. Let's go back to passing with Josh Hoover having a bad day. Made no sense.
No, none at all. So that's the first 6. So let's see what we got compared to the publishers. Ooh. KU, K-State, the same, Colorado, UCF. Looky here. The exact same as the publishers for the first 6, which, again, sounds about right. I mean, that's if everybody's being honest, that's where they are. And to be honest, those first 6 or whatever, last 6 or whatever, I don't think those are very hard. I think those are pretty easy to put into order.
I think the only question is KU or K-State. Which one? And they're
correct. Which one do you want to have at 10 or 11? I don't think either one would have been wrong. I just go by the last time I saw them. KU couldn't stop the run to save their life. K-State beat up on TCU. So that's where I got it. Let's move on. Number 10, I got Arizona. Now, I already know there's going to be Arizona fans that get in the comments. You don't know what you're talking about. They played a great game against BYU. Yes, they did. But they lost. So let's not lose sight of that. They did lose the football game. And they had a bad plan. Thought they should have run the football more. They were running the football against BYU because BYU was playing them to throw the ball. You weren't having a ton of success throwing the football. Should have just kept running, especially in that overtime, especially in the double overtime. Run the football. You were having success. Didn't do it and ended up blowing the game. You're up 10 in the fourth quarter. You blow the game. Having said that, we're also going to get some other people in the comments, Fitz, that are going to say, well, what has Arizona done? I'm like, you act like they're the greatest team since sliced bread, when literally the only comment that I said was they're better than last year. Well, I mean, if you watch football and if you watched them, they're better than last year. They just are, and it's easy to see. But what have they done? They played a great game. They lost. But 10, look, there's other teams that are better than Arizona that are in front of them. That's all. It's not
Yeah.
personal. There's just other teams that are better than they are. So 10 seems right for now. Could change, but for now, they're at 10.
As we go through this, I kind of feel like there's a clear bottom four right now,
Mm-hmm.
and maybe a clear top four because of Arizona State losing Sam Levitt for a game and kind of coming apart at the seams. That kind of moves them out of there. And then the next 8 are just kind of a mush.
Mm-hmm.
And Arizona, Kansas State are at the bottom of the mush right now, but they can move up. I think there's a lot of room for these teams to ascend. And I think they're clearly above those bottom 4, unless Colorado breaks out, which, they might do that. But yeah, this is we're into the middle mush. And
Right.
This is how the Big 12 is entertaining. You get 2 teams from the middle lined up together, and you don't know what the hell is going to happen.
Absolutely. 100%. At number 9, I got Iowa State. Look, it's the ship is sinking fast. There were so many people that were in the comments that talked about Iowa State's overrated. Who is Iowa State beat? All those people were right. I called Iowa State frauds. And people came out, well, they're not frauds. Some of them were Kansas State fans because they didn't want to admit that they got beat by a team that I think is a fraud. And they were other fans, too, that coming out, well, they're not frauds. I'm like, yeah, they are. Yes, they absolutely. This would be the definition of what a fraud is. Everybody thinks they're good. They start playing some good competition, and they lose. And I don't even know if Colorado's good competition. I'm not sure. But bottom line is Iowa State is not, at this point, not what we thought they were. And I don't think that's hard to see. You watch them over the last 2 games, you lose to Cincinnati, you lose to Colorado. You could say, well, those games are on the road. It's tough to win on the road. It is, but you still lost the game. If you're who we thought you were, you got to win those games. And they did not. 9 is the appropriate place for the Iowa State Cyclones.
Agreed. I almost feel like there's an undertow right now going on in Ames. There's some seems to be knocking them off their center a little bit. I don't know what it is. They've had lost some recruits and that kind of stuff. Sometimes your program just gets some bad mojo rolling and you got to find a way to break loose. But losing to Colorado certainly was less than ideal for the Cyclones.
Absolutely. Again, if they are who everybody thought, myself included, they were, that's a game you win. You didn't? It is what it is at this point. And there'll also be people that Arizona, well, how could you have Iowa State ahead of us? We lost to BYU. They lost a bit 3 weeks ago. I don't even know if it wasn't even 3 full weeks ago. I think it was about 16 days. We watched Iowa State and Arizona play a football game. We watched it. It wasn't like it was 2 months ago or something like that. It was 16. I'm thinking 16 days ago. We watched them play a football game and the game wasn't close. So you can't be ranked ahead of somebody when they blew the doors off of you 16 days ago. That doesn't work, at least not for me. Maybe somebody else it works, but not for me. Real football on the field has to count. It has to count. Moving on.
My only reply to that is, yeah. Yeah.
At number 8, TCU, another fraud. That, again, and I mentioned earlier, TCU has dumb coaches, and they do. Josh Hoover was off on Saturday. You could see it from the start. He was off. But what TCU was doing well against Kansas State, they were running the football. Kansas State literally had no answer to TCU running the football, and they decided to give their running back 12 carries. If you give him 25 carries, he may have had 200 yards. But instead, you give him 12, and this is what it ends up. And then you get the doors blown off of you because, again, Josh Hoover was off. And the coaches just said, oh, he'll throw himself out of it. Well, what he ended up doing was throwing TCU into a 3-touchdown deficit. That's literally what happened. It just, I couldn't understand it at all, Fitz. But TCU has the talent. I guess they have the talent. I thought they were one of the teams that could win the Big 12. They're not. Because if you're not going to beat this Kansas State team as bad as Kansas State's played, and not just lose, get destroyed, you're not who we thought you were. You're just not. So you got an opportunity. They got a game this weekend. Big 12's got some good games this weekend. But I don't know. I'm disappointed in TCU, Fitz.
I agree. I mean, I thought that was going to be a really tough game for Kansas State to win. And Kansas State probably played its best game of the season, although they were far from perfect. But TCU just looked like they thought they were going to roll into Manhattan and leave with a win.
Mm-hmm.
They didn't really need to clock in. They could just kind of show up and hang out in the break room and get paid. That's not how it works.
Nope.
And K-State took care of them. And even early in the game, the one thing I never expected to see in this game was a 0-0 tie at the end of the first quarter.
Right.
Based on the two defenses. Both offenses sputtered. But even at that point, you could see K-State looked more comfortable in this game than TCU. TCU just looked out of whack from the start. And then K-State started whacking them pretty good. So, yeah, this was a bad day at the office for the Frogs. And
Yeah.
I think they're better than what they showed. But at the end of the day, you are what you are. I mean, they're 4-2 right now. And that might go down as an okay loss, but as of now, it's a bad loss.
Yeah. And the thing about it, you watch the game and you that didn't look like a team that had only lost one game on the season. They looked like a team that had lost 4 or 5 games, and maybe they end up that way, and maybe that's what it's going to be, but that's what they looked like on Saturday. I was real disappointed in them. At number 7, we got Houston. Look, Houston, Oklahoma State, it is what it is. They took it to them. They needed a bounce back. They needed to get back on the right side of things because that was a butt kicking that they took from Texas Tech. But a lot of teams have taken that same butt kicking. But bottom line is, Houston, they're trying to get to a bowl. And Houston's got an opportunity to get to a bowl. And 7 is about right. They got some more games left, Fitz. I mean, it's not going to be easy for the Houston Cougars moving forward. I mean, but we'll see. We'll find out what they're made of. Can they get? I think 7 wins for Houston this year seems about right. I think 7 wins would be right. But you start looking at what they have. I mean, this weekend is a big one. Arizona. It's going to separate some of that because there's a lot of Arizona fans that are like, we're better than Houston. This is the opportunity. So, but I think they're probably pretty evenly matched. But Houston's got an opportunity. They got an opportunity. I think this is a big game for them. I really do. I think if they want to get to 7, possibly 8 wins, you got to win this game.
Agreed. And you've been a believer in Willie Fritz, so have I. And they're showing drastic improvement in a year from a program that was a mess. And he's not just doing it with a bunch of portal pickups. He's recruiting and coaching, and he's kind of doing it a mixture of old and new styles. I'm ready to start printing the T-shirts, though, if they get to a bowl. Willie Fritz is the shits. And I'm going to trademark that. And that's a compliment for you fellow olds. But he's just such a good football coach, man. He's just he somehow has translated his older school style to the modern era, and the kids are buying in, and that's impressive.
Yeah, it is. This game is going to be because I think they're both pretty evenly matched. So we'll see. But Houston is just on the cusp. They're just on the cusp. I think another a year. I don't know if it'll be 2 next year, depending on how this year finishes. Fitz next year. It might be lookout time. It just might be lookout time. At number 6, we got Baylor. Baylor was off. But look, I don't know what to think about Baylor. I know they can score a ton of points. I also know they can't stop a soul. So I thought at the beginning of the year they were going to be a team that can win. I think that number, I put it out there that 7 teams can get to Arlington, or 7 teams can win the Big 12. I no longer believe that 7 teams can win the Big 12, and I don't think Baylor is one of those teams anymore either. They were one of those, but they are no longer a team that can win the Big 12. They don't play enough defense. They can score, and maybe the bye week is what they needed. Maybe they can get some things figured out the bye week. They got a game this week against TCU. Again, 2 teams that just don't want to stop anybody, but we'll find out. And maybe Baylor can figure this thing out. Maybe it's an opportunity. They still do only have 1 loss in the conference, so it's not like they're out of contention on getting to Arlington. It's just a matter of, can they put it together defensively to do that? Because they can score points, but can you stop people?
Yeah, I agree with you. I think the list of contenders to make it to Arlington is dwindling fairly quickly. We're still early in conference play. We're at the midway point, basically, if that. And we're seeing some teams that we thought, TCU and Baylor in particular, fade pretty quickly. And I just, you now look back at that Baylor win over Kansas State. They needed it, but they should have lost that one, and they came out on the right side of it. But it might be a sign of problems for Baylor heading on down the road.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, it's a huge game coming up. If they can't fix their defense, then we just can't take them serious. There's several teams that if you just can't fix your defense, I know you can score, and Baylor can score quickly, and they can do a lot. But if you're just not going to be able to stop people, this is not the same league that maybe it used to be a decade ago, Fitz, where you could just score 50 points and maybe you gave up 45 and you won. You're not going to be able to do that. It's a different league now. It's a different league altogether. So at number 5, I got Arizona State. That was ugly on Saturday. Look, having a good quarterback and having a competent quarterback means a lot. It absolutely does. You can control the ball, but that wasn't a problem for Arizona State. They controlled the ball against Utah. People don't understand. They literally they dominated the time of possession against Utah, which is wild that a team that ran for 240 or 70 something yards on you dominated the time of possession. That happened. And so having a competent quarterback, again, it's nothing against Jeff Sims. He's just not that good. He's a backup. He's just not that good of a quarterback. Sam Levitt is, but Sam Levitt doesn't tackle anybody, Fitz. He doesn't line up at linebacker and run side to side. He doesn't rush the passer. He's not doing any of those things, and they could not stop Utah. They got physically beat up. And again, they had stopped everybody from running the football. That's what they did. They were one of the top teams in this conference against the run, and Utah said, hold on. And it was ugly, start to finish. Game was over pretty quickly. I still think they're a good team. Again, you don't want to judge them not at full strength. But that was a bad one. That was ugly, Fitz.
I wish we all got as many shots as Jeff Sims. Nebraska, Georgia Tech, now Arizona State. And the guy still isn't very good. I thought, okay, they get an experienced backup. They're bringing him in. They'll be okay. It wasn't okay. They just weren't dynamic. I know Sam Levitt doesn't play defense, but if he did, he'd probably be pretty good at it. Wouldn't want to play him at nose tackle, but I'll bet you'd make a pretty good safety or outside linebacker. They just kind of missed his spirit.
Yeah.
I thought the Cam Scadaboo departure to the NFL would really ding him. It hadn't, but playing without both, which is really what their identity was a year ago, they seemed to kind of lack knowing who they were and what they could do to win this game. And the game just wasn't close.
No, it was ugly. But that's where they are. Hopefully that's not the type of team they are without their quarterback. Because if it is, that's not a good sign.
No.
That's just not a good sign. Maybe it was an anomaly. I know it was a damn near a monsoon out there during the game. I understand, but you had been able to run the football all year, and you couldn't run it, and you couldn't stop it. Quarterback be damned. You got to be a more physical football team than that. So,
the rumor on the street, and you and I listen to the street, is Sam Levitt turned an ankle playing pickup basketball. Now, look, I think these athletes need to learn something from me. I've never turned my ankle sitting in a recliner. It just hasn't happened.
I don't know, man.
Just play safe, man. It's football season. Don't be doing this other stuff.
I heard that, and I didn't give it 2 thoughts because I thought he's really out playing basketball during football. I have a hard time believing that. Again, I played 30 years ago. I get it. There was at no point in time did I even have the energy to go out and play pickup basketball. That's the reason why I don't believe that happened. I just don't believe.
Can you imagine being one of his buddies and you're playing with him and you see the starting quarterback at your college university go down with an ankle and you're like, oh crap, what did we do?
Yeah, I get it, but I just don't believe that one, man. But those are the next 6: Arizona State, Baylor, Iowa State, Houston, Iowa State. Come on. What are the publishers thinking? Iowa State at 7. Give me a break. Give me a break. No.
That's what we call the Alec Bussey effect. We all like him so much. I think we gave Iowa State credit for having Alec around.
Yeah, I just how you have them there. I don't know. I don't know. Again, maybe they think they're better. I just have watched them the last couple of weeks. They don't look the same. They just don't look like the same football team. And when punched in the mouth, they haven't punched back. So that's just my opinion. Just my opinion. I could be wrong. I'm not afraid to be wrong, but that's just not what I see. So moving on. Number 4, I got BYU. Look, BYU keeps squeaking them out, Fitz, but that's the sign of a good football team.
Mm-hmm.
Keep squeaking, win close games. That's fine. Some people keep saying, well, they're lucky. And I'm like, when you keep winning close games, is it luck or are you just a good football team? At what point can you just say you're a good football team? And now here's the thing, playing down to competition, which I don't know that they're doing, is just winning close games is the mark of a good football team. Yeah. That's all I will say. And they keep doing it. I don't know if you want to say it's luck, but eventually that runs out if it is truly luck. And eventually you get the doors blown off of you. That's what usually happens when you're not as good and you keep winning these games and you're lucky in doing so. But I don't recall what they did against Arizona just being lucky. I recall they were down 10 and they did enough to go win the football game. Like there wasn't anything lucky about that. Not in my opinion, no. But at this point in time, they are what they are. They're number 4 until proven otherwise.
Every great season in football, you got a game or two where the breaks went your way.
Yeah.
It's just how it works. Some seasons you get those blessings, and other seasons everything seems to go wrong. But I also think at the end of the day, you also kind of cause luck, if that makes sense. You put yourself in a position to capitalize on it. And when it comes your way, you do capitalize on it. I mean, you can look back at a lot of bad teams. They get a break and they don't do anything with it. BYU, you show your throat, they're gonna rip it out, and they're just taking on the identity of their head coach. Going to beat you with a smile. You're going to get up after that and say, "Wow, I got the crap beaten out of me by a guy that was the nicest guy in the world." That's BYU football right now. They're going to find a way to get you. They got him.
Yeah, absolutely. Moving on. Number 3, I got Cincinnati. I think Cincinnati sleptwalked through a game on Saturday. I mean, you could see them sleepwalking. They did enough early to hold off UCF. They did enough early, but that wasn't a good effort by them. Again, 2 games back-to-back, super emotional games. You could see this one coming, but they did enough to win the game. Cincinnati's a good football team. They got ranked. They're a good football team. So we'll see moving forward, but they got an opportunity, Fitz. Again, I like this Cincinnati team as of right now. Can I still be mad at them for losing to Nebraska? I'd forgiven them. I'd already forgiven them for losing to Nebraska. I think at this point, I just got to let it go. I got to let it go. I can't be that jaded ex that gets mad. I just got to let it go and understand what they are moving forward. But in all seriousness, this Cincinnati team, I like what they're doing. I do.
They're looking like a pretty good football team now. They're building a head of steam. And ironically, as they get better and better, I get more upset that they lost to Nebraska.
Yeah.
Like, you're showing exactly why you shouldn't have lost, but they just weren't there yet. They're there, man. They're a legitimate contender to make it to Arlington.
Right.
Kudos to the Cincinnati coaching staff and everyone involved. Plus, I want to just point out from my perspective, the guy that does the artwork for the YouTube front pages, they're really good in photos. They look great. They're always celebrating. They look happy. They're fired up. Thank you, Cincinnati, for bringing joy to my Photoshop work. And but yeah,
their schedule. They play Oklahoma State this week, but their schedule tightens up a bit. So we'll see what happens.
Yep.
But as of right now, They look like a really solid football team. At number 2, I have Utah. That was a masterclass in physicality that they put on Arizona State this past weekend. I mean, give them credit. We saw them play against good competition one time this year. Didn't go well. Last 10 minutes, they got the doors blown off of them of that football game. They basically said, hold on, that wasn't the real us. This is the real us. And if that's the truth, which I think it is, this is a damn good football team. Now, I thought they were good all along, but maybe Tech is just at another level. Oh, that's fine. But either way, this Utah football team is good. And because I don't think Arizona State's bad, and they beat the brakes off of them. Again, physicality always, well, I shouldn't say always. Physicality usually wins the day. And it did in this one. Utah got back to its roots, ran the ball all over Arizona State, who thought they were going to be able to stop them from running the football. They couldn't. This is a good Utah football team, Fitz. This is a good football team, man.
That's Kyle Whittingham football.
Yeah.
They lined up and beat the tar out of someone. It's fun brand. It's my kind of football. I love watching it. Do they have a decent game this weekend?
Maybe. I don't know who it is.
I'm gonna probably watch them this weekend. I don't know who they're playing, but yeah. Yeah, they're fun. They're fun, and the Holy War is going to be a blast. I'm fired up. I actually looked because Kansas State's off this weekend about going to Salt Lake City. Where'd Seattle come from? What's wrong with me, Big B? Salt Lake City to watch the game, and airfares talked me out of it very quickly. Maybe I should fly to Seattle. Maybe they're cheaper to fly to Seattle and watch the game there. I don't know why I would, but yeah, no, I really did. I thought I looked at an airfare and said, "Oh, it's $300." Then I realized, oh, that's just one leg. I can't do that.
Ugly. Either way, I like this football team. I think they're good. I think Utah they've gotten it back together up to this point. And I cannot wait for this game on Saturday. They got after it in the comments yesterday. They said, excuse us this week in the comments. It's just going to be nasty. And you know me, I like chaos. And I said, bring it on. The nastier, the better. Just get insane after each other.
I'm so glad this is in the Big 12 now. I'm just so happy about this. These two schools just, oh my goodness. And don't let anyone tell you it's not the Holy War. We can use the word war in sports because we can. Fitz said so. Tell them that. Fitz said so.
Exactly. And number 1 is Tech. Tech again. Barrett Mortons goes out. Will Hammond comes in. Wasn't sharp throwing the football, but he can run it. And that's what they decided to do against KU. It's like, look, this game got tight. We let our foot off the gas, or Kansas took your foot off the gas and put your foot on the brake, and they put their foot on the gas. Because give Kansas credit. They fought back in that game. For a half, it was right there, which it was wild. Somebody in the comments said, well, it was only close for the second quarter, so I wouldn't agree that the game was close for a half. I was like, isn't that the definition of a game being close at the half? But whatever. Anyway, Tech is good. They didn't have their A game throwing the football after Barrett Mortons went out, decided we're just going to run it, ran it for 372. KU couldn't do anything to stop it. Now, granted, KU hadn't done anything. They're allergic to teams that run the football, so they don't want to tackle rushers. But Tech said, great, we'll just keep doing it. And they did it. And KU had no answer. Tech's good. KU scored some points. They fixed the defense at halftime. KU didn't threaten again. That's kind of what happened. They got it fixed, and they couldn't do anything after that. 9 sacks in a football game is brutal. That's brutal. So Tech is good.
I think this game kind of defined both of those teams, and Tech showed that they're not just about the quarterback. They can win in multiple ways. They're just a good football team. Now, they need him back. Barrett Morton's pretty darn important to what they're doing. They need him back, but they did this, and Kansas showed by the way the game was played that they're dangerous. They can put up some points on good defenses because they did that 17 straight. I looked at this game early as 21-0. I'm like, ooh, boy, it's going to go bad. not knowing there had been an injury. And then I get out to post-game dinner. I'm like, what is going on? What has happened here? It's 21-17. But then, yeah, you're right. Tech said, you know what? Nah, you're not coming here and doing this. They let me just say this. They threw everything they could at the Jayhawks. Tortillas, supposedly a pocket knife. Because if I'm going to throw a pocket knife, I'm not taking the blade out because I just want to be a jerk, not a criminal.
Yeah.
What a bizarre game. Penalties on the crowd.
It's starting to get weird now because they're calling penalties on them, but the crowd's not stopping. I'm like, at some point, you're going to have to stop. I get it. If it was only tortillas, and you know me, Fitz, it doesn't matter. Tortillas is not going to hurt anybody. For anybody out there, well, what if it hits them in the eye? I'm like, okay. Tortillas is not going to hurt anybody. But if you allow them to throw tortillas, somebody's going to start throwing other things as well. And that's where the problems come in. You just got to stop. I thought it was cute. I thought it was cool. But now if they're going to start penalizing you, you just have to stop. It's just period. And even if you don't agree with the penalty, you have to stop because like I said, it starts with tortillas. It ends with a pocket knife, batteries, bottles, cans. You just can't do it. You just can't do it.
Misbehaving babies, just throw that kid out there. Yeah, it's not good. And here's really my only complaint is if they're going to throw food on the field, don't make it tortillas that you smuggled in your ass crack or however you're getting them in there. You never eat the tortillas. Never. You don't know where they've been. Why don't they just let them bring in like ham sandwiches, maybe some grilled cheeses? Just let them bring it in. They throw that on the field, and then we can all enjoy them. But tortillas that smell like butt, no, we're not doing that. Or other body parts I'm not going to mention. Just stop doing it. I mean, can you imagine the travesty if one of those 15-yard penalties costs your team a game on the way to possibly the most historic season in your school's history? Because that's what they're on track for.
They are.
They might. I mean, if they keep going, they're a legitimate contender to win the whole thing. Absolutely. I think they're that good. And I don't think the national media has a clue how good they are.
They don't.
If they get in a dogfight at home against a better team, and I don't know their schedule looking at it right now. I just don't. And a penalty flips the momentum. Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
Just folks, just stop. Just stop.
Correct.
Or bring me a sub. I'm fat.
So the final four is, let's get those up there. Tech won. Utah, Cincinnati flipped. Ooh.
Yeah, they got
Utah and BYU flipped, actually. Utah, they got Cincinnati at 4, Utah at 3, BYU at 2. So
I gotta admit, I struggled with Utah and BYU on my poll that I contributed to the and for if you don't know, these are the publishers in the lighter type there. Big B against the Big 12 24/7 publishers. I really struggled with that. I think Utah is better, but I couldn't get around the fact BYU is unbeaten. You know,
they are.
I mean, at the end of the day, they're winning all the games. Utah played a much better team in Tech and lost, but yeah, I think they're interchangeable. And if we could only get them together on the field, and I could have a head-to-head comparison of the Cougars and Utes, that'd be helpful if we could arrange that.
Should be very interesting this Saturday. There is a lot of good games within this conference on Saturday. So all this head-to-head stuff that you're talking about, Fitz, we're going to be able to see it. But that's where we're at with the power rankings this week. Appreciate everybody. Again, thank you very much for watching. We will be back. We'll have a couple interviews tomorrow, some teams that we're going to talk to all this week. Like I said, we got a lot of good games this weekend, man. So it should be a fun Saturday and ramping up to it. So I appreciate everybody. Thank you, and we will talk to you soon.
Thank you for watching the Big 12 Insiders, your Big 12 sports show. This has been a Spirit Street production.